Hello, 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 and welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion. Before we get started, let me remind you that we are covered by the BigPharma no government license, which allows for the reuse, modification, distribution of podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is bipcot.org. This is episode 43, which I think I titled Hippity, Hoppity, Stay Off My Property or something like that.
Right.
We got the non-pod faded crew in the house.
Hell yeah.
We got
what's up,
Derica from Hurricane Land.
Yep.
You drowning yet, down or what's up out there?
No, I put on Facebook. I said the whole state of Virginia has me to thank for this. Like my screwy luck. The one time I'm fucking fully prepared for something. It's going around Virginia, like it's giving us a sidearm hug, like it just wants to be friends, right? So it's just like going completely around.
That's why I saw on they were doing the tracking, and it's like a hockey stick. It's like beeline, beeline, like North South Carolina, and then goes like straight up and around Virginia,
right?
And just completely misses the state.
Yeah, I know. I know. I mean, we still have shitty weather right now, of course, but because even if you're not in the path of it, there's this wide swath of like affected weather around it. So we still have shitty weather, but we don't have a hurricane.
We're 78 and sunny with a breeze. We're California right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is here. It's probably like 70.
You thirsty? You guys thirsty?
Water.
We got water.
Yeah. We have plenty of water here in Wisconsin, too.
We
Holy
had the
crap.
wettest summer. Oh, my God.
Yeah, Wisconsin flooding. Texas is flooding. Hurricanes in the east. I haven't had rain since like early May.
That's so weird.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that one thunderstorm that ran through here dropped, I think they said 12 inches over the course of 4.5 hours.
Yeah, Jesus.
Damn.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And Oregon is the shocker. It's so dry. In Oregon, it's so dry. They really need rain because it's really weird because normally Oregon is not a dry state. It's known for being a very damp state.
That's why the soil is so nice. Like the Willamette Valley.
Willamette. Willamette.
Yeah. Oregon.
Oh. Fucking hurt you.
You can't throw that. You can't throw that bottle that far.
Oh, you guys want to kick your asses.
At least we're not in New York, right?
Yeah.
Hey.
Well.
Don't fuck with
so
me.
Florence
It's
is
71 and
right
beautiful
over.
here.
Yeah, well, Florence is supposed to roll right over. Use a tropical depression on its way back out to sea.
Oh, I'm sure. We always get fucking whaled. When we
Yeah.
got Hurricane Irene, it was fucking bad, dude. Real bad. I washed away a whole town up on the fucking up in the Catskill Mountains. Washed the whole fucking town away.
Damn.
Yeah, we got towns.
It's in a floodplain.
Yeah, we got towns burning instead of being washed out.
Yeah. That was a real problem over there. You know, the haze and stuff is so bad over there. The whole West Coast is just covered with smoky haze.
Well, the crazy thing is we're getting that here. Like it's going up into the atmosphere and descending here, so we can smell the fires in California here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, there was an article about it. I
insane.
want to say like 3 weeks ago about how the smoke from the car fire and the Mendocino complex fires here in California it was so thick and bad that it rose and got into the atmosphere and stayed together, right? Instead of dissipating like it would normally do, like a smoke rises. Like the smoke was so thick that it was staying together, and they were following the stream, and it was all the way to the East Coast before it like actually started fully dissipating.
Yeah, it was crazy. There's been a couple of days where we've gone outside and it looks just like super hazy, and you can smell wood smoke everywhere and everything. The last time we had that was when Alaska was like all on fire, and they had their big one, and that happened to us too because of where the jet stream dips is right in northern Wisconsin, so it shoves everything to the ground here. So we keep getting all this smoke from all these fires, and we're not burning, but it sure smells like we are.
Yeah. The whole
so
state of
crazy.
Oregon smelled like a campfire when I was there.
I bet.
Oh yeah, it was pretty bad down here too. We had a couple of what they call spare the air days. Yes, I get taxed on my air here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We have the Bay Area Air Quality Management Board, I think is what it's called. And they have
those, and you know what? Those are the motherfuckers with those fucking cans of air in their desk, like President Scrooge.
Yeah, right.
You know?
So crazy.
they're the ones.
Dude, they
they're
sell
the
cans
ones,
of air in China.
They're the ones that helped got the wood stove ban in place. Like new constructions in California cannot have a wood stove. If you have an existing wood stove, you can get a new one in exchange for a high efficiency one. Or if you have if wood is your only option for heating, then you can get one. But if you're building a house in California, you can't get a fireplace or a wood stove.
Yeah.
That's just so stupid.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
So stupid.
Yep. Oh,
That's
why are you guys
California
having
for,
so
though.
many fires? It's climate change. It's blah blah blah. No, it's because you won't let people fucking cut firewood,
Yep.
and you won't let people fucking log.
Yep.
You won't let people steward their fucking land.
Right.
That's why you have fucking wildfires, because just the dead stuff builds up and builds up and builds up. And when it does catch fire, you
They
can't
don't understand
fucking put it out.
conservation, dude.
One lightning strike and the whole
Stewardship.
fucking place goes up.
Yes.
Well,
Stewardship.
and
That's the key word.
The eucalyptus trees probably didn't help much.
Oh, fuck eucalyptus.
The only tree I've ever heard of that sets itself on fire.
Dude, I've had so many run-ins with them. I used to work with the natural resources program here in California, and that wood is so dense and so thick that it will actually ruin a brand new chainsaw chain. Cutting one tree, like you would cut a tree and have to resharpen your saw.
Jesus.
Like, a Doug fir, like if you're cutting Doug fir or cedar, you can go 6, 7, 8, 10 trees before you have to worry about sharpening your saw again. Eucalyptus, it's cut, sharpen all day long.
Jeez.
I didn't know that.
I hate eucalyptus.
Yeah, once the male trees get to a certain age, they like set themselves on fire. They spontaneously combust to germinate.
Jesus. They're like the phoenix tree.
Like the sap comes out. The bark gets really, really dry, and then the sap comes out, and it acts like a magnifying lens. And the sun rays through it, and it just sets itself on fire.
And they all of the ones that Australia gave to California as a friendship gift a number of years ago have just reached maturity this year.
Oh Christ!
Yeah, we have a bunch of them across the river.
So eucalyptus is native to Australia.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not native to the U.S. So
no, not at all.
When they say
I didn't even know they were there.
Australia, when they say everything in Australia wants to kill you, they're not fucking kidding. Even the
Well,
trees.
dude, Australia is metal as fuck.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you got trees that are set themselves on fire. That's like fucking super metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scandinavian black metal band starts playing right before it happens.
Exactly, dude.
Like enormous,
breakdown,
cute, cuddly creatures that will fucking destroy you. Like
kangaroos.
shred you into
Kangaroos are
bloody
no
ribbons.
joke.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah, kangaroos straight up hitman drown people. Like
they're so cute though. They're so cute, but they will fucking murder you.
Yeah.
That's metal as fuck.
Literally, the most harmless thing in Australia is the koala bear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still got claws and teeth.
And it's still got claws and teeth.
Yeah, right.
And you ever see it when it's wet?
Oh yeah, they're horrifying.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Absolutely terrifying.
Actually, I would say that the most harmless thing in Australia is the plebeians that fucking gave up their guns to their government. But
Yeah, right.
What do I know?
Well, even koalas. Okay, koalas. You know they're cute and cuddly. Blah blah. They eat the trees that catch on fire. They're like, I don't care if you're gonna catch on fire. I want to fucking eat you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like,
The cute, cuddly
Like-
koalas eat the self-immolating eucalyptus trees.
That's so crazy.
no,
Just-
that's metal as
Wow.
fuck.
Australia's just like the whole continent's just like a horror flick. Like that's the whole continent. It's
well,
just
yeah,
a fucking
they have
thriller.
ticks that will paralyze you. Not
I think he dropped out.
really just
Oh,
He's having connection issues.
yeah. Uh-oh.
Andrew,
Andrew, where'd you go?
hang on.
there you are.
There you go. I don't know. Our Wi-Fi likes to drop out at random for some reason lately.
Mine likes to drop out, but it's not random. It's because one of my asshole kids is downloading something.
It's the NSA fucking with you.
Yeah.
It probably is. I made the mistake of getting an Echo Dot, so.
Oh, what the fuck did you do that for? Are you brain dead? What?
Well, see, now, though, they have to listen to even more of my inanity, and I get to waste even more of their time. So.
Jeez.
I got my Cody Wilson come and take it CAD files
Nice.
patch today, so I'm
Nice.
sure
Awesome.
I'm sure I was already on a list, but I'm sure I just made another list. Oh.
Probably.
But we all know I'm flagged.
Yeah.
The Jew Hunter.
Dude, there've been so many
Not me,
things.
man.
There've been so many things, Dan, on Facebook and on Twitter that I've wanted to tag you in because I knew you'd fucking love them, but
I'm not
you're
there.
not on there anymore.
I've been digitally assassinated.
Mhm.
Like so much information that I had posted that they just like wiped out.
On how
So
many? Let's
crazy.
you had what, like 3 Facebook accounts,
Yep.
right? There was, and all of them are gone.
Because I juggled them because I'd have like a 30-day ban on one. Sometimes I'd have a 30-day ban on 2 of them and have to behave myself on the 3rd one. You know what I mean? It's like
That's because you kept dropping J bombs, man.
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
that happens.
speaking of J bombs,
Didn't you know that would happen, Dan?
Yeah, but that's like
didn't
when I'm
you
told that I
know-
can't do something, it's like makes me want to do it even more.
I know.
this is a really good subject. Let's jump into this. This is a really good segue. Yes.
Good.
This article is a year old, you guys. It's not new. It's a year old, but it showed up in my Facebook memories.
Yes.
And I have to reshare it, and we have to talk about it.
Mhm.
Right? Hillary Clinton thinks the moral of 1984 is that we should trust government and media.
Yeah. Yeah. We should trust them more. Yeah. What?
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's definitely
Yeah.
how the end of he had won a victory over himself is supposed
exactly,
to go.
right.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's
when O'Brien's
totally what
punishing
Orwell
him,
meant.
dude.
Totally
Yeah,
what
like when
Orwell meant.
O'Brien's having like giving that like fucking speech when he's torturing fucking Winston there,
Mhm.
yeah.
and he's like now you don't understand what like power is and whatnot, and like how it's not a means to an end, but
Yeah.
it
gotta wonder
is
what-
the end essentially.
Right.
Right.
I gotta wonder what she thinks the moral of Animal Farm is. What, like pigs are good at running shit? I don't.
Yeah. Former
All
Secretary of
animals are
State.
equal, but more equal than others.
The pigs
Yeah.
are, some are more equal.
Yeah. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's campaign memoir, including a questionable interpretation of the central lesson of George Orwell's novel 1984, namely that individuals should trust those in position of authority.
Wow. Or be tortured.
Clinton's memoir, What Happened, released Tuesday, this is a year ago, suggested that the goal of government-sanctioned torture featured prominently in Orwell's novel is to erode trust in authoritarian overlords who control all aspects of society. This perspective is diametrically opposed to the central lesson most readers have drawn from the book since it was published in 1949.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Way to invert the truth.
And
Yeah.
the best part is that this is exactly 1984. Like
Yeah.
what she's trying to do right now.
Yeah.
It's like double think or whatever.
Yeah.
That was like the best, like the juiciest piece of irony. Like last September was her thinking. That was the moral of this story.
Like when you're that like brazen and fucking like I don't even know, like how, like anybody with a fucking operating brain when they hear that is gonna be like, if they read the book, they're gonna be like, what the fuck is wrong with this bitch? Like,
I know.
What was her justification? There's a quote in that article, I think, that's got her justification.
Quote, attempting to define reality is a core feature of authoritarianism. This from Hillary Clinton, you guys.
Well, that's like essentially. I mean, that's what statists do, regardless.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, like leftists have always done that more, and they've always erased history to replace it with an artificial, version of the truth,
redefining reality. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Attempting to define reality is a core feature of authoritarianism. This is what the Soviets did when they erased political descendants from historical photos. This is what happens in George Orwell's classic novel 1984 when a torturer holds up 4 fingers and delivers electric shocks until the prisoner sees 5 fingers as ordered. The goal is to make you question logic and reason and to sow mistrust toward exactly the people we need to rely on. Our leaders, the press, experts who seek to guide public policy based on evidence, ourselves. For Trump, as with so much he does, it's about simple dominance.
I can't.
I can't. We just can stop. I can't. I fucking can't with this lady. I just fucking can't with this lady.
Well, she has a vagina, so.
I'm not so sure
you should have
that's
voted
actually
for her.
true. I'm not so sure that's true.
It's like Michelle Obama.
Yeah, the goal is to make you question.
She probably has like an egg slit or something like that.
Like a fucking turtle.
I don't even want to think about that, dude. That's terrible. I know she's got a snook in her sniz. That was a great episode, dude.
And Bill,
like where a vagina eats the fucking doctor and shit.
And Bill went there, you guys. Bill went there many times.
I'm sure he just like squatted over there.
I don't think he ever did, honestly.
Yeah.
Because as far as I know, Chelsea Clinton is the daughter of the dude that she worked at Rose Law Firm with. What the fuck is his name? I don't know.
The guy that she looks exactly fucking like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't look anything like Bill.
Oh my god. Oh.
That explanation is so completely out of line of literally everything that book is talking about.
Okay. The goal is to make you question logic and reason and sow mistrust towards exactly the people we need to rely on. Our leaders, the press, experts who seek to guide public policy based on evidence, ourselves.
So don't listen to the guy.
Sorry
that
for
was
the interruption.
Don't listen to the guy that was a Fabian socialist
and
had a fucking inside track on what the fucking plan was globally by the Fabian socialists, which is like incremental totalitarianism, and that's like exactly the the ideology that she follows. And like she would have ramped shit up. I know that she would have. I mean, not saying that fucking Trump's any better, but it's like at the same time, I know that like they had a way worse plan under her presidency.
Yeah. It's just, I mean,
the fact
it's
that you're like going to be
boot,
that
right
overt,
boot, and both of the boots have stepped in dog shit. Quite frankly,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And but to be that overt about it and be like, oh no, don't listen to the moral of the story. It's totally fucking antithetical to what reality is.
Right.
It's like, no, you're trying to like.
And the very first line of this paragraph, attempting to define reality as a core feature of authoritarianism. And then she goes on, and then she goes on to say,
it's like projection.
Then she goes on to say, toward exactly the people we need to rely on.
Yeah.
Our leaders, the press, experts that seek to guide public policy based on evidence and ourselves.
You know what? I think Mika Brzezinski, right? Zbigniew Brzezinski's daughter that works on fucking MSNBC there. The same guy that said that it'd be easier to fucking, kill a million people than it is to, mentally control them.
Something like that, yeah.
And his daughter said something about, like, because she was getting upset that, like, people on the right were calling it fake news and this, that, and the other thing. And she's like, it makes our job harder because it's our job to control reality, essentially.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you fucking for real? Like, you're just that, like, open about it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, the Clinton's quote couldn't have sounded more authoritarian if the Ministry of Truth itself had written it. Like,
yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's so insane.
Jeez.
Well, that's the essence of, like, 2 + 2 = 5. It's like, don't listen to what the fucking story's telling you. This is what reality is.
Yeah, who are you gonna believe? What you see or what I tell you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's so nuts, dude.
Depends on how much you're torturing me.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't forget that.
But yeah, can I just tell this story really quick? Because I think it was my English teacher that, like, kind of, like, woke me up to what was going on, because it was like the year before we graduated. In that fall of 2000, we read 1984 and Brave New World back to back. And we had to write, like, a comparative essay of, like, what was going on, like, modern day and, like, the parallels kind of deal between the two books and, what was going on in modern day. So that, like, just, like, looking at reality and making a comparison to the two and, like, seeing where things were, like, potentially going to go, I'm, like, seeing it now. And, like, back then I saw it, like, after because it was, like, whatever, in the fall of the following year after I graduated in 2001, when fucking September 11th happened. That was, like, a fucking, like, real wake-up call, because I had already read those two books and I saw, like, the Patriot Act be implemented and, like, the surveillance state, like, really come online.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, they're really following this like a playbook. Like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, in 1984, and I remember writing, actually in high school, my senior year of high school, I wrote a paper. I forget what the first part of the title was for my paper. It was like the Panopticon in Orwell's 1984. And I was talking about, if you know what the Panopticon is, that concept for a prison where all of the cells are arranged in a circle around one central point, and then you in the control point can see everyone else, but they can't see you.
So they, like,
right?
police
So
themselves because they feel like they're being watched.
Right, and that is exactly what Orwell was talking about in 84. And it's funny because that's exactly what the surveillance state has created here now. And then Clinton, and keep in mind, I mean, Clinton's writing this and saying this after all of the WikiLeaks documents came out, after everything with Snowden came out, like, and she still has the fucking balls. No, just ignore the man behind the curtain. It's
like Pizzagate, Spirit Cooking, all this shit that she was fucking implicated in.
Yeah,
and
right.
She has the balls to fucking
try
to tell people how to interpret 1984.
Because they're like, oh, why didn't Trump put her in jail yet? It's like, dude, if you fucking, like, went after somebody like Hillary Clinton, she has dirt on every fucking buddy, and she's gonna bring down the whole entire government with her.
She doesn't even have to have dirt on you. She just has to have dirt on people that can kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, she not only has dirt on everybody, she has dirt on the people that control the people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, I don't have to own you, but I own your boss. So I own you.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, they were part of the whole, like, cocaine running deal with the fucking Iran-Contra deal when he was Bill Clinton was governor in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and remember when he first ran for president, all that stuff came out way back then about how many people, like more than a dozen people, had probably been killed at his and Hillary's behest. Like clear back then, their body count was climbing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, on 9/11, I posted something about it, and it was like the U.S. government spent more time and money investigating Bill and Hillary Clinton in the early 1990s than they spent investigating 9/11.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God.
Guess who headed up the FBI when the fucking investigation was supposed to happen in the 9/11? Robert Mueller.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Who's Trump's buddy?
Yeah.
Which one?
Ignore the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
Yeah, no.
And then, I mean, and they're not very careful these days. Candidates, they're just not as careful as they used to be. I mean, you remember Hillary Clinton saying shit like, "It's my turn." Like it's my it's my turn to be president. Like there was some fucking prearranged pecking order. You know.
Well, the news said that she had a 98% chance of winning. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was a sure thing.
Yeah.
Well, and her running her mouth the way she did probably is part of the reason why they changed their mind about letting her win.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
She was just getting too fucking ballsy, and they were like, "Yeah, we gotta switch it up to make the public think they got their choice."
Yeah.
Well, I think Trump was controlled opposition.
Yeah. Well, it's always, dude. They never allow a wild card. I mean, you got to be kidding yourself if these people that have all the fucking money and power are gonna let one thing slip through their fucking fingers. Are you kidding me? They don't play the game like that.
No, they don't.
And they understand human psychology better than fucking any of us. You know what I mean? They play us like marionettes. Even those of us that like really understand what's going on, even like we're not completely unsusceptible to, you know, the mental manipulation and tricks that they fucking play on people until later, and then we look at it and we're like, oh shit, like I even got played on that, like, you know, and then you got your guard up even more, and you're like, oh, he's looking for shit. You know, it's fucked up.
I know. You end up fucking living in a corner in your basement with fucking tinfoil walls and
No, not me. I have fun with it anymore. Like I don't even like crusade for the truth. It's just like one of those things, like, you know, I crack jokes and like I get through to people that way through fucking humor, really, because it's like kind of a disarming way of spreading the truth because people don't have their guard up when they fucking laugh.
Right. Yeah. I've just lately
like,
I've just focused. But lately I've just focused on me, you know, and doing my own thing, focusing on raising my kids to understand these principles and, you know, contributing to the next generation in that way. And
dude, that's more powerful than fucking anything else you could probably do, to be quite honest, because that's going to live on years after you're fucking gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's what I've been focusing on, and just being the change I want to see in my own little sphere where I can and when I can. So,
amen to that. That's all we have control over.
That's the only way you really can do it. I mean, you can't as an individual change things globally or nationally or statewide or even citywide, really.
Right.
Well, there's a certain guy in Sarajevo in 1914 who might debate that, but
unless you gotta kill those.
I was like, wait a second, what are you talking about? Oh.
I'm talking about the start of World War One. The dude who assassinated Franz Ferdinand and his wife.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah. Just ran up, bam, bam. See, look at that, abracadabra. He changed the world. I mean, those few bullets, they tore down 3 different empires. They redrew the map of Europe.
Crazy, dude.
Well, it caused it to happen. It didn't do it itself, but
it's still a domino effect today till today, because the Ottoman Empire was broken up, and then that's why we're in the Middle East now, even balkanizing it even further.
Well, it wasn't even just the Ottoman Empire. It was the Sykes-Picot Agreement between France and England that decided to, instead of actually giving the Arab people their own nation that they were promised, decided, no, we're going to cut this up the way we want in the name of oil.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You know the U.S. became the world's largest oil manufacturer. Like
Yeah, I heard about
a
that.
couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Seriously?
Yep. So the U.S. produces more oil than
imports.
any of those countries in the Middle East right now.
No shit.
Huh.
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, the
Wow, that's
U.S.
interesting.
has so many fucking natural resources.
Oh yeah, totally. I
So
mean, just look at
many
like the
natural
size of
resources.
just look at the size of the the national parks
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all that shit is like untouched. Not saying like go in there and dig it up, but I'm saying like that shit's like there's vast fucking stretches of land in the United States that are
There's a reason
completely
those
untouched.
areas are federal land.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they
There's a
probably have
reason.
done. Yeah.
Rich mineral deposits, oil, natural gas, all of that.
Yep.
They're in
Oh, there's
safekeeping
tons of
for the
natural gas and
people.
fucking. I'm sure
Yeah.
in Yellowstone alone, there's tons of geothermal and natural gas.
Oh,
you
hell
know what I
yeah.
mean?
Hell yeah.
Like they probably power the whole entire United States with fucking Yellowstone alone.
They could power the Western fucking hemisphere with Yellowstone, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And not to
I mean, you
mention
harness
Alaska,
that
like
geothermal
Anwar,
power.
Alaska.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Damn it! I can't find the freaking article now. I'm pissed off.
Which
I had
article?
the article about the length of time that it took to investigate Clinton versus the length of time it took to investigate.
oh,
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
somebody was saying on a show
Well-
that I was watching that they were like, Saudi Arabia like thinks that they're safe from like what's going on in the Middle East. They got like another thing coming, essentially, like, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna use Saudi Arabia to take down Iran probably, and then once Saudi Arabia has helped them with that, then they'll take down Saudi Arabia too.
yeah.
Well, see, and that's
I mean, Saudi Arabia has less friends in our government under the Trump administration than they had before. That's for damn sure. They're nowhere near as untouchable as they thought they were.
well, and
Yeah.
again, going back to the Sykes-Picot
that might be the
agreement,
reason why
the whole reason the Sauds are even in power is because of the Sykes-Picot agreement at the end of
Yeah.
World War One, and
Right.
it put them in power artificially.
Yeah, exactly. The fucking British royal family was like told the Wahhabi fucking like Bedouin fucking tribe essentially that here we're gonna give you tons of fucking cash and like whatever you want and just rule over this stretch of land so that we can fucking get oil from you guys on the
Right.
cheap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they set them up nice. They said camp out here. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, I mean, like if they think that they're like safe from what's going on, it's easy for fucking United States or whoever to just turn around and backstab anybody because the United States has pretty much turned around on every treaty that they've ever made with anyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, don't ever consider yourself safe if you're our ally.
Yeah. Don't trust those motherfuckers.
Yeah, if you're wondering,
not our ally. Let's
Yeah,
make this
if-
very clear.
yeah,
The
if you're
government is
wondering-
not the people.
if
No
you're
matter
if you're
what they fucking say.
if you're
I mean,
wondering,
the
if you
American
trust
people are
yeah.
allies of everybody in the fucking world. You know what I mean? We don't have any problems with fucking anybody on a fucking
No.
regular
Yeah.
individual basis.
If you're
Right.
wondering if you could trust the government, go ask a Native American.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just
exactly.
gonna say,
That's-
what do you mean
that's
they've
what I'm
gone back
saying.
on all their treaties? I'm pretty sure all of the natives got to keep everything that they were promised.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're referring to, but
But that might be the-
Why is this blanket making me cough?
I brought up the whole thing about Saudi Arabia because it's like if we're becoming oil independent, that might be part of the reason why they're gearing it towards that, so that if they ever do take down Saudi Arabia, then they don't have to worry about the fucking.
Oh, I'm sure that has a lot to do with it, guys.
Oh, sure.
yeah.
I'm sure
you
that
gotta
has
understand
a
how
lot to do with
You know what's really funny? I mean, you guys. I mean, the U.S. is the largest producer of oil in the world right now. Gas prices haven't changed at all.
Mm.
Well, that's because most of what
Well,
you're
you-
actually paying for at the pump is taxes,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
partially.
California.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, New York State too. Yeah, there's gas tax. It's fucking ridiculous.
How much is gas in New York right now, Dan?
It's about like I don't know. It's under $3 for regular, but I
Yeah.
usually use premium, so it's like I don't know, maybe $3.30 a gallon or $3.50. Who knows? I don't even.
Yeah,
really
that's
pay
that's
attention.
about what I pay for premium. Actually, it's about $3.50.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't use premium. I use regular, but it's like $2.35 a gallon here.
$3.69 at the nearest gas
Jesus
station to me.
fucking
Holy
Christ.
fuck,
Ooh.
dude. That's bending you over the fucking barrel right there.
That's for regular. Also, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna
mean,
say.
my truck definitely isn't California legal, but considering I only get 9.4 miles per gallon right now out of my truck, like, oh my god, I need a freaking mortgage on a house just to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Seriously, dude.
Yeah, diesel is $3.99.
Yeah, I
Jesus.
have a
Good
turbo
God.
I have a turbo 4-cylinder in my Jetta, so it's like my gas is pretty. I mean, my gas mileage is pretty decent. You know, unless I'm
Well,
fucking
that's what
like
Kevin has in the
racing with the fucking
Mustang.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mustang's a turbo 4-cylinder.
Yeah.
But I have the V8 310 horsepower Navigator. And
Yep.
I get 12 miles to the gallon.
Or my Passat. Yeah, my Passat.
I would
had
love
the
to see
fucking,
12.
I had a supercharged. I had a supercharged 6-cylinder in my Passat wagon, and that fucking thing moved out. I mean, this Jetta moves out too. It's got a racing engine actually in it because my brother dropped it.
It's how about $3.85 in San Francisco?
Jesus.
Holy fucking shit, dude!
Oh my god. You know, I have
You
a
get a free bag of-
26-gallon gas tank.
Holy shit!
Can you imagine filling that
That's
at that
ridiculous.
price?
Yeah.
That's about the
Insanity,
size
dude.
of my gas tank. My gas tank's really similar
That's
size.
that's $100 bill, and it's not going to touch F.
Oh my god.
You have to take out a small loan.
Yeah.
Yeah. That shit gets ridiculous. And in my county, everything is spread the fuck out. I'm like 7 miles from the grocery store that I go to.
Yeah.
And it's all country roads with houses dotted here and there. Like my whole county's like that. You can't walk anywhere.
Okay, here we're gonna do it. Truckee, California. Truckee is just on this side of the border from Reno. Truckee, 419 to 429.
Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Because they know that there's probably not that many gas stations. Like, you know what I mean? They're far apart, so it's like
They got people over a
have the
barrel
advantage.
there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then
$4.
But then you cross the border into Reno, 355, 352, 349.
So it's
That's like
when
the
you're
difference
fucking
between Maryland and Virginia. Like people in Southern Maryland, close to 301, they will drive across. They'll pay the toll, the $6 toll, and drive across the bridge to come to Virginia to fill up their gas tank and to buy smokes. Because those are the two things that are way cheaper in Virginia than they are in Maryland.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So
can't imagine
people-
why tobacco is cheap in Virginia.
I know,
Yeah,
Philip
right.
Morris, you know. But still, I mean, like, you know, so people in Maryland, they'll come down here to get gas and to get cigarettes because of all the
It's
taxes.
like people going from New York into Jersey.
To get smokes,
You don't
yeah.
and you don't even have to pay. Well, no, for gas.
Oh,
Mainly,
yeah,
because
but you have
gas
to
is
pump
way
your own
cheaper
in Jersey. You got to pump
Yeah,
your own.
exactly.
Yeah, just like, or you can't.
Yeah, you
can't.
can't. By law, you can't pump your own gas.
Right,
like
in Jersey, just like Oregon.
When I worked at a Hess gas station, back, I think it was in my senior year of high school.
Man, Hess has some of the coolest fucking toys ever.
I know. Yeah, we used to sell a lot
Yeah,
of
we
them
got a
during
bunch of them
Christmas
around
time.
the house for the kids.
So I get people from Jersey that would come there and ask me to pump their gas, and I'd be like, "No fucking way, dude! Like, this is New York. Like, I'm not gonna be your fucking servant. Like, I'll show you how to pump your own gas.
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit,
Well,
dude."
okay, so a friend of mine on Facebook, she just moved.
That's like Oregon. Oregon when Oregon.
I love those memes.
When Oregon used to be you couldn't pump your own, and then they passed a law saying you could pump your own. You don't have to pump your own, but you could pump your own.
Oh, but
And
that's only like at night.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people. There was a lot of people that are
In
lifelong
rural gas
Oregonians that didn't know how to pump their own gas.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me
That's what
tell
I mean,
you.
dude.
Let me tell you guys.
the government put videos out showing people how to pump their own gas.
Yeah. Let me tell you guys. So I grew up in Oregon.
So ridiculous.
Everybody knows this by now. A friend of mine that I grew up with and went to school with, she just moved from Oregon to Phoenix. And she just posted on Facebook yesterday, the day before, about how she pumped her own gas for the first time. And she had to look up YouTube videos. And she was really scared that she was going to mess something up and cause an explosion. Like, people in Oregon and New Jersey legitimately think that it's a fucking hazardous activity.
It's a science.
And that like one little thing going wrong will blow the whole gas station up.
What, they're going to get into a freak gasoline fight accident?
Yeah.
Well,
It makes me think of Zoolander for exactly that reason.
I had a couple people like just pull off with the fucking gas nozzle still in the tank and fucking rip the thing right off the goddamn pump.
Yeah, that happens.
Oh, I've seen that happen here in Wisconsin, and we've never had gas stations where they pump for you. Like, it's always been a self-serve.
It's usually new drivers or really old people.
There was a video. There was a video of a cop doing it in like Bakersfield or something like that. That was
or people who are distracted, really distracted.
Yeah.
So,
oh, totally.
Oh. But I've been pumping my own gas since.
But that's like so
2001.
Like, I pump my own gas. That's the new.
Actually, you know what? My family had been pumping our own gas in Oregon because we had. There was this gas station in my hometown that was just for business owners, like commercial, and you had to pump your own gas there. And you had a little card with punched holes in it, like a little hard plastic card that was coated with punched holes. So my parents would give us my dad's gas card to go put gas in our cars. Sometimes if they were feeling generous. And so it would go on my dad's business account. So we had been pumping our own gas for a while, so it wasn't a big deal to me to leave the state and have to pump my own gas. But like my ex-husband had never pumped his own gas before. And then we got to Hawaii or Florida first. And he was just fucking clueless. And it was,
That's fucking hilarious, dude.
It's ridiculous how scared people get of things they've never tried before.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like if you don't allow people to fucking do things on their own and like
They
take
become
personal responsibility for shit.
dependent.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I mean. It arrests people's development to be like taken care of like that.
Hashtag nanny state.
Yep. No. Now we sound like those little yep.
Nope.
Although that's all I can think of. All I can think of when I see that meme about how weird would it be if they just kept saying "yep" during sex. All I can think of is your average Wisconsin housewife because oh yeah,
Oh, don't you know?
Don't you know? Actually, what they do a lot more is the you know.
At that point, dude.
Oh yeah, oh it's great, you know. Oh yeah, don't you know? Oh, it's great.
I'm gonna pee my pants. Holy shit.
Oh yeah, lap my first taco there, big boy.
Oh, right in the ice hole.
Oh yeah, oh it's you look like Aaron Rodgers, you know.
Right to the tight end.
Oh yeah, go beast mode, just like Clay Matthews. Yeah, just like Clay Matthews. You go beast mode. Oh yeah.
Yo.
Little payback for earlier, huh?
Oh my god.
Gather yourself, woman.
Parents outraged after man erects electrified fence near bus stop to keep kids off a lawn.
Dude, that's like pure Ancapistan. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But like, I'd have like landmines.
Robotic machine guns.
Right? Like robotic turrets and shit, dude. Like launching fucking mini nukes and shit from the front porch.
I just wanted to read the title so I could say wrecked and see deer.
Trained monkeys with machetes keeping kids off my lawn.
It's like a mech, like one of those big robotic law enforcement mechs with machine guns. Yeah. Child, you have 5 seconds to leave the property.
5, 4, 3.
Henrico County, Virginia. A Virginia man put up.
Henrico.
That's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said Henrico.
That's what I said.
They're two different things. You didn't
Okay,
say
Oregon.
both. Oh my god.
A Virginia man put up an electrified fence around his yard to keep students at a nearby bus stop off his property. The Sandston man, who only identified himself as Brian, said he was sick of children who cursed, fought, and littered at the bus stop. Quote, they don't respect other people's land. I pick up trash every single day.
Yeah.
The fence separated his yard on East Berry Street from Est Wilson Way from a Henrico County school bus stop. Late Tuesday, Brian had to take down the fence, not because of any potential danger it may pose to students and passerby, but because he had it running along county property that he thought was part of his yard. Quote, I went ahead and moved it back because it was not in the right place. But Brian said trespassing and posted signs he put up years ago have made no impact. Quote, nothing stops people. He hoped the fence hooked up to a battery would provide relief. The fence, which went up just in time for the first day of school, caused an uproar on social media, and one neighbor told WTVR he was worried about potential for someone getting hurt. Quote, I touched it. I got a slight shock. It wasn't that great. Said James Maffel, who owns homes in the neighborhood, said, quote, I understand his concern. I just don't think he understands the neighbor's concern about the kids. One of them could touch it, fall into it, and get shocked.
But
If they're touching it,
they're fucking hurt you, for one. And two, if your kid is one of those little shitheads trashing his property, go to his house and complain that it hurt your kid. I fucking dare you.
Right?
I fucking dare you.
Go piss on
you're
the
identifying.
Go piss on.
I was just gonna say I put a fucking sign up that says please piss on the fence.
Yeah.
Oh, wah wah wah.
But it's not like electric fences are electrified 100% of the time. It's a pulse that comes through every so often.
Right. There's that guy that actually won a Darwin Award because he connected it directly to his house power without an alternator and killed himself touching it.
That's awesome.
Oh my god.
They pulse. To 210. To 210 directly. and then the best part is it was for rabbits. First of all, it was to keep rabbits out, which means, can you imagine a rabbit hitting 210 amps?
Oh my god.
That would explode, dude.
Red mist.
Holy fucking shit.
My grandpa had an electric fence out on his farm for the cows, and we'd stand there and in a row and hold on to it. And the first person would get shocked every time the pulse came around. But the challenge was everybody else had to let go of it. Like, watch the first person and try to let go of it before it hit them, which, of course, we were retarded. We didn't quite understand how electricity works. So, everybody got shocked every time. But it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. It's no worse than like a TENS unit. Yeah. Like the TENS unit that makes your muscles jump when you... It's no worse
than
that.
It's high voltage, but it's really low amperage.
Right. Yeah, and the amps are what kill you. The amps are what's dangerous.
Well, and that's the thing is, and this wasn't even all that high voltage, I don't think, because it was connected to a solar-powered unit.
Yeah.
So, it barely had anything. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a 9-volt battery on the tongue.
Jeez.
Which, while not fun, is not terrible. I mean, you're not going to hurt yourself.
No. And it's not going to cause any kind of damage. It's just, it'll make your muscles jump for a second.
And you'll be like, oh, not doing that.
It stings a little bit. It's not.
And it wouldn't be. And it's not going to be an issue if you stay the fuck off his property.
Exactly.
Yep. Hippity hoppity, stay off his fucking property.
Right.
They're lucky he's
right
not
there over my property line. Is where you can go fuck yourself.
God. You know what my 16-year-old did the other day, you guys?
Oh no.
I'm sitting outside and he sticks his head out the door and he says, hippity hoppity, women are property. And then he slams the door and runs off before I can fucking get to him. And
he's not wrong though.
He asked me not to kill him.
I'm just fucking around.
Nice.
Technically we're all property, but we own ourselves. See how that works?
Well, that leads right into my fucking cuckolding thing.
Oh God.
He,
The fact that is a sentence that we could have uttered right now is just upsetting.
he wanted to bring it up, you guys.
All right,
All right,
Dan.
get on
All right,
your
Dan.
rant. Get on your rant, Dan.
No, well, nobody's property of anybody else. But if you're with somebody and you're committed to someone and like you're in a monogamous relationship, I think that's a healthy thing because that means that you can like, maintain, an established thing and commitment with someone. And it's, it's
And
respectable in my eyes.
There's a certain level of security that comes with that. Security for your
Yeah.
family.
Well, that's
security
what I mean.
for your health. So you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about some of these things anymore.
Yeah, like sexually transmitted diseases and
exactly.
shit. I mean, I'm not criticizing whatever. If anybody else wants to do whatever, you know what I mean. As long as they're not pushing it on anybody else, whatever.
Yeah.
That's your thing. That's your thing. But me
Yeah,
personally,
I was gonna say me and Lindsay are poly, so
yeah. Well, no, I mean, like I know people that are, and like I don't criticize them. That's their lifestyle. You know what I mean? For me personally, like you know what I mean. If another
And there's
dude's gonna
people
fuck
that
my
swing
chick, like
and
that's
stuff like that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, me personally, like not because I'm insecure, but I just don't want somebody else fucking my chick. I don't know. It's just like.
Well, yeah, and didn't that article you're talking about the one that said if you don't support it that you're racist?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You're,
Yeah,
you're
like,
low-key
what-
racist.
what?
The word "cuck" is a alt-right term that's been adopted by them, which is in a way is true.
No, it's not. Cuckold.
No, it's the other way
is a
around.
type of fucking bird. Okay, this
No.
comes from a bird.
Yeah, no, I know.
Actually,
In nature.
it was cuckold was a term clear back in Shakespeare's day. It's actually in Othello. Interestingly enough.
No, but it's a reference to the cuckoo's nest. Because the cuckoo, the male would go and another bird would come in and take over his nest.
Go. Yeah.
So that's the etymology of this word comes from the cuckoo's nest.
Yeah,
The more you know.
When they
Yeah.
use the term, they use it in terms of like selling out, your nation or whatever. Like, I've heard people that I know that are alt-right
Oh yeah, I
fucking
know.
use
I
the
never
term in that
understood.
sense.
I never
Well,
understood
the
the
reason-
way that the alt-right used the word cuck.
Well, the
It
reason
always
the
seemed
alt-right
weird.
uses the term is because the implication is you can't even keep your woman happy.
Yeah,
She's going to go find something else. Like, you're so
yeah,
weak.
exactly.
Right.
They mean it
Blah,
as
blah,
a
blah.
derogatory term. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's meant to be pejorative when the alt-right uses it, which is
Right.
funny because then a bunch of people who are into that, like, complain, like,
Yeah,
but it's
why
not
are you
necessarily
denigrating
insulting?
our lifestyle?
Yeah, like, well, and it's too, like, like I mentioned that to Lindsay and she got all ticked off because, she's like, but that's stupid because ultimately, like, if that's what I'm choosing to do, how does that invalidate any of my relationship? And by you trying to turn that into an insult, like, you're trying to just say that apparently that every one of us who are actively making that decision are weaker?
Well, okay.
Okay,
but it's
it's
not any different than calling somebody a pussy.
Well, yeah, it's
Okay.
an appeal to antiquity. That's their thing about it. It's an appeal to
Yeah.
antiquity because it's
it's more
traditional, traditional, right? And it's about maintaining the tradition and the culture and all that other
Oh, Jesus Christ.
catchphrase bullshit that they hold on to.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but in a way, it's all a fucking result of cultural Marxism. To be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which goes both directions.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made for that, but there's an argument also to be made against it.
Right. How about I have the
Well,
best
it was
argument of all, guys.
done. It was done in a sense to destroy the family unit. Is really
Right.
what it is all about. Because most of the people that practice polyamory are not people that have families.
Right. Well, yeah.
Well, certainly not all.
Yeah, not all.
Or there's some that do that have created a really strong family unit that way, but it's committed. It's
Yeah.
a committed polyamorous relationship. And that is the difference between all of this. Look, there's committed relationships where the people involved in that relationship are all on the same page about how it's going to function, and they're all good with it, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's a healthy dynamic for whatever shape your relationship takes. Okay? And as long as everybody's happy and everything functions the way you've all agreed on, it's all consensual, there's nothing fucking wrong with it.
Well, and that's the thing
why I
too.
consider myself a libertarian, because it's like, or anarchist, whatever you want to call it. I don't really like putting a label on whatever I am, but it's like I'm more of a
your thumb is
traditionalist.
covering the.
Oh,
you're
sorry.
just like censoring your face, like, don't look at me.
Yeah. But no, like, I mean, in a sense, I'm more of a traditionalist in the way I view things, and that's kind of how I was raised, right? So I see things in that light, but at the same time, I don't fucking tell other people how to live their lives. You know what I mean? That's the difference between me and somebody that's fucking alt-right.
Right. Like behaviorally, my general inclination is for the very traditional life. You guys know that. I'm little fucking Susie Homemaker over here. But if I want to get wild with my husband, I'm damn well going to. And I'm not going to fucking feel bad about it if it's something we both want to do together.
Well, and that's the thing, too, that I wanted to mention about is because, like, again, Lindsay and I are poly, and even we were immediately like, are you fucking insane? Like, if you have decided that, like, literally this article is saying that if you, as a white heterosexual male who's married, don't want to share your wife with a black male and watch that happen, then you're racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing, because it's like the whole opposite.
Men don't want
it's the
to
whole
share
opposite.
their wife with
That's
any
well. They also
man.
they also said the same thing if you refuse sex from a transgender, right?
Yeah.
Then you're sexist.
You're transphobe.
Or you're transphobic.
Yeah, transphobic.
Yeah, well, see, this is the whole thing. It's like the opposite. It's the inverse of the traditionalists trying to force their view on other people, whereas the fucking cultural Marxists are trying to force their view on people, where they're saying, like, they're trying to guilt you into fucking saying, well, oh, if you don't let somebody else fuck your fucking wife or whatever, you know what I mean? You're either racist or you're a transphobe or you're fucking this or that.
And it's
which is why
absolutely absurd.
Now, all of the traditionalists trying to force their way of life on everyone, and all the fucking new age or cultural Marxists or freaks or weirdos, whatever you want to call them. I mean, depending on how you refer to them, but people who live an alternative lifestyle, trying to force their lifestyle on other people, they're both assholes. How about,
that's what I'm saying.
Right. How about, and here's the best idea, we all just mind our own fucking business.
Well,
it goes. It's like it goes back to that meme where it has a bar, right, and it has a swastika on one side and the hammer and a sickle on the other.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and then like the next panel, it shows them a circle and the hammer and sickle are right next to the Nazi symbol. Yeah. That's the reality of it. I mean, these people are. They're both authoritarian fuckheads.
Well,
they're trying to force.
It's
that's
different
the key
flavors
word here.
of the same thing.
Yeah, trying to force their views on others.
Right.
Well, yeah,
and that's essentially why I wanted to bring it up, because I knew it would lead back to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the real political spectrum for where I'm sitting is anarchy on one side and totalitarianism on the other.
Yes.
It's all just degrees of how much force
people
want in your life and the lives of your neighbors.
But on the authoritarian side, there's different flavors. You know what I mean? There is a real spectrum going on.
Well, I mean, there's varying degrees. That's why it's a spectrum, right? Between
anarchy and
you can
totalitarianism. You can have shit with corn in it. You can have shit with a bunch of fiber in it. You can have shit with.
Yeah, I think it's closer to a triangle than a lateral line or a circle.
Worms.
Well, yeah, and I think that, but that's the thing, and like that's actually why I chuckled about the fact that you wanted to bring that up, is because it's like we are poly, and even we were just like, are you like completely insane? Like somebody doesn't want to live that way, and so you're gonna call them racist? Like, how dare you not? The left's trying to push, and it is the left, let's be honest, at least socially, it's the left.
Yeah.
They're trying to push this idea that unless you want to have sex with absolutely anyone who's a leftist, when they want to have sex with you, then you're a bigot and a racist and a terrible person.
But if you force sex, it's rape.
Yeah.
If you even ask for sex from someone who doesn't want it, it's rape.
If you give a sexual innuendo, that's rape. If you watched what we did to Derica earlier, that's rape. Everything is rape.
I missed that.
Everything is rape unless it involves a white male on the victim side of the spectrum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That should be turned into a T-shirt. It's all rape unless the victim's a white male.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I've always made that argument that, like, under the cultural Marxist view, it's like they view the white straight male as the enemy of fucking society, and once they're eradicated, then it's
that's their scapegoat.
That's their new bourgeoisie.
Well,
it
it goes back to the great man fallacy, right? All beliefs, all ideologies, all religions, they all have a great man fallacy. There's a belief that there is a great man that is good, that will save them, that will protect them, blah 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 blah. And then there is boogeyman,
or there's someone whose followings they should be, or whose teachings they should be following.
And then there's a boogeyman.
I consider no one a guru.
The person that the great man is saving you from.
Mm-hmm.
The great Jabberwocky.
You know, I did a great interview with Jeremy Hengeller a couple months back about it. We called it the Ron Paul fallacy.
Yeah.
Well, this is why like I look to people for, like, you know, different views of understanding and their perspectives, right? And I take whatever I need and I leave the rest. I don't take anyone as a fucking guru.
I treat other people as like an a la carte philosophy banquet, and I fucking pick and choose exactly what I want, what makes sense to me, and I leave the rest behind.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain an idea without
accepting it. Yeah.
That's
that, and I always study. And I always try to study the opposition's philosophy, because it's like, how can I argue against them if I don't understand what they're arguing? And necessarily, they might not even understand what they're fucking arguing on their side, because they just, you know, picked and choose what they wanted from it. So
well, yeah. How many people claim to be communists and have never read anything by Marx or Trotsky? They have no idea.
Well, Trotsky was a piece of shit. He was a fucking maniac.
Well, that's because most of the people who do read Marx and Trotsky don't end up as communists.
Well, they end up like fucking tankies. They're like fucking super authoritarian, fucking, like, you know, international revolutionary, you know, for the workers. Kind of deal.
Yeah, well, no, I mean that most people who read it realize that it's fucking psychotic ramblings of an insane mind.
Well, yeah,
absolutely.
This again, it goes back to that great man fallacy. But I believe that most people that call themselves anarchists or libertarians aren't anarchists or libertarians.
No, they're fanboys.
Not only a fanboy, they're statists. They're statists that exchange political parties for economic systems or for great men.
Well, see, anarchy to me is not anything. It has absolutely nothing to do with economics, and I hate when people argue.
No, it absolutely nothing to do with economics.
Yeah, I hate when people argue the economic point of, you know, anarchism or whatever, because it's like it has nothing to fucking do with that. It's just it's about having the ability to choose.
Yep,
the freedom to fucking choose. You know what I mean?
Motherfuckers need to read Karl Hess.
Right.
Exactly, and like when I try to tell people
anarchy
about
is nothing more than the right to say no. At every juncture in your life, the right to say no. That's anarchy.
And a lot of people don't understand that, like, along with freedom comes personal responsibility and self-mastery. Like, you have to fucking understand those principles, because it's like, if you don't master yourself and you're not personally responsible for your actions, then society's not going to be able to fucking function, and people are just going to be acting like fucking animals.
Hell no. Yeah, because people who haven't mastered themselves will be mastered by someone else.
Exactly.
And that's where government begins again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's where self-governance comes. It stems from self-mastery. You know what I mean? In order to govern yourself properly, you have to master yourself.
Well, yeah, that's what government means in Latin is control of the mind. If you don't have self-governance, if you don't have control of your own mind, well, then there's somebody else's property.
And let me tell you, if you're one of those people if you're one of those people who's still blown through your own emotional landscape by every fucking news headline, by every fucking sensationalized bullshit story on the evening news, by every fucking political pageant that's laid before your eyes, you're not the master of yourself if you're still being, like, emotionally and mentally manipulated by all that fucking bread and circuses.
Yep. Yeah, well, they have to understand that, like, every authoritarian, like, dictatorship ever in history always appealed to emotion.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Because
Well,
I
yeah.
knew that.
That's the easiest way to
Because-
control
it
people.
Because it's easier
overrides
to
logic.
emotions are easier to control than logic
than
and
mind,
actions.
than logic.
Well, look at
yeah.
every cult throughout history, every death cult throughout history.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about emotion. You look at
Not even just emotions. You can even break it down to a singular emotion, and that's fear.
Fear.
Right? Fear
Yep.
fear is our most primal instinct, fight or flight.
Yes. Yep.
Right? And if you can control a person's fear, if you can make them afraid and then offer a solution, they'll take
Yep.
the solution every single time. Which is
Fear
why
is-
we have the Patriot Act and the NSA and
Right.
word farming programs and all that other stuff.
Fear is like the only reason
I mean,
religion has lasted as long as it has on this planet.
Mhm.
Religion is based on fear. Fear of the afterlife, fear of going to the bad afterlife instead of the good afterlife. It's all based on fear.
Well,
guess
I
what?
think just about
That's the reptilian mind working.
Yeah.
just about everything when it comes to
To control
any human
control
interaction,
mechanism
fear.
is based on fear.
Well, I think almost all human interaction really is based on fear, because it's based on fear that even if it's, let's say it's a business transaction, a lot of it is based on fear that you're not going to get what you think you deserve.
Right.
If you're talking about a relationship, you want to be with someone because you're afraid of not having them around. Everything
Right.
revolves around fear. All of humanity revolves
Exactly.
around fear.
Even
So if you can
controlling
harness
yourself,
it,
even controlling yourself, even good things like taking responsibility for your own actions still revolves around fear, because taking responsibility and controlling yourself gives you control over your environment. It gives you control over yourself and what happens to you, and you're not blown around by, the needs and wants and agendas of all the people around you.
Yep.
You know?
Mastery of fear is the difference between survival and existence.
Right.
yep.
Right.
Right.
If you're just existing, then you're a blade of grass on the wind. You're going with the flow. You're doing what needs to be done. That's fear. Fear is what keeps a person there. It keeps them from advancing and actually starting to thrive in their environment.
Right.
And I completely agree with you guys. But if you turn that on the inverse and do it out of, you're self-mastering and self-governing out of, doing the right thing, not necessarily out of fear, but because it's the right thing to do, then that's like you're on the right course. It's not because of like the negative aspect, but the positive.
You could even say, though, that you're afraid of doing the wrong thing, that you're afraid of being in the wrong.
And you're afraid of being in the wrong because of the consequences that will then occur.
I'll admit,
so it's still fear.
I'm afraid of setting a bad example for my kids. I'm afraid that they will see something that I do and they will repeat it in the future. Something
and they do that.
Something bad, something negative, something wrong.
Kids learn through observation, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to something else. And this article, this law happened because of fear. LA
Don't they all?
Yeah, exactly.
LA County
Stoke the fear to pass the law.
Yeah. LA County approves temporary rent stabilization policy.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Economics, guys.
Yeah.
Well,
I was thinking about Venezuela earlier, and I was thinking.
I have a fantastic Venezuela article.
Oh, okay. But I was thinking about it earlier, and I was thinking, how much more evidence do these assholes need?
Oh, that's because
it's gonna work eventually, dude.
It's not real socialism. It's not real socialism, Derek.
Exactly. They gotta go.
Nothing is ever real socialism. Nothing.
It's the U.S.'s fault.
So much of that.
It's the U.S.'s fault because of the blockade. Blah 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 racist.
You're just a racist. You just hate the Venezuelan people. That's what it is. That's
you hate brown people.
Brown people, really. Brown people just really burn my ass.
Yeah. In an effort to relieve pressure on
LA
renters,
I am half Spanish, so I'm allowed to say that. Just for anybody who's listening.
Spain is not brown.
Fuck up, Spick.
It's kind of brown.
Spain is in Europe.
It's a little. So is Italy, but they're brown.
Hey, I'm a fucking Dago. Right?
Hey, Hey, Dan, you know when the tires on an Italian car are flat?
What?
How do you
I don't
know
know.
when the tires?
I don't know.
They,
I don't know.
They go wop wop wop.
That's genius. That's fucking funny. Fuck you. You got any Austrian jokes?
Kevin's Italian, dude.
You got?
Oh.
I'm sure. Like everybody's a
I
fucking
do, but it's
Italian.
right over there.
I had some Austrian jokes, but then my German friend took them all. So
Yeah, there you go. Everybody's got Polish jokes too, and I'm mostly Polish, so I'm just a really smart Pole.
You are a Pole.
Yeah. Okay, LA County
Hey, we
approves.
battled Nazism and communism, all right? So fuck you.
oh, I get cut off. Oh, there we go.
And you still get made fun of.
Exactly, right? It's fucking crazy. Most of the Polish people that I know are really intelligent, though. To be quite honest.
Yeah, well,
with
they
you.
only get called stupid because they were fighting off Nazis with pitchforks, because that's all that they were left with.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not because they thought it would work. It's because that's all they had left, and they were going down before they submitted. So
Hey, exactly. You gotta love that fucking fighting spirit.
Gotta love it.
So, all right, LA County approves temporary rent stabilization policy. In an effort to relieve pressure on LA County renters, the Board of Supervisors approved a temporary measure on Tuesday that would limit rent increases in unincorporated areas to 3% annually and allow landlords to evict tenants only with justification. The board voted 4-1 in favor of an intern ordinance that had been championed by Supervisor Sheila Kuehl. Quote, rent stabilization does help prevent evictions and homelessness. Kuehl
No,
said
it doesn't.
Preempting arguments that such a measure would deter construction of new rental housing and put mom and pop landlords out of business, Kuehl said, quote, the facts don't back you up.
Yes, they do.
Bullshit.
She said
They absolutely do.
She said private equity firms and buying apartments in Los Angeles firms, quote, that frankly don't care about their tenants, and because they don't, we will. The measure directs the county's attorneys to draft an interim rent stabilization ordinance in 60 days. The ordinance will last for 6 months while the county considers a permanent alternative.
So, because they're mad at these big monopolistic management firms, property management firms, they're going to impose more restrictions that make it harder for smaller businesses to be in the rent game.
Exactly. And remember, I mean,
a more
at all of these hearings,
environment
to
big corporate fucking property management.
Yeah, quote,
what the hell?
Yeah. Quote, I agree rents are too high, said Jill Furtado, who owns one rental property in the Antelope Valley. But she urges supervisors to oppose the measure. Quote, I have taxes, insurance, and utilities that are going up every year. Sometimes I choose to absorb the cost, and sometimes I can't.
Jeez.
And that's, and it's the thing, too, is the mom and pop ones are the ones that are protesting the loudest because they're the ones pointing out, look, we have to keep it affordable so that we can get these rentals rented. And if we ever have to renovate, we can't afford to.
But you're taxing and regulating us to death, and we have to pass some of that cost on to our tenants.
Let's see. There, you guys can see it. The little hand in the air, that's on the poster. That's the banner of the people protesting in support of that with the little hand in the air. Yeah, you know who those people are.
Oh, yeah. In Soviet California.
Well, and there was in response to what was it? It was the repeal of Proposition 10, right? So in response to Proposition 10, the repeal of Proposition 1, with the I forget what it's called, some weird act that Kenneth Rosen, that economist from UC Berkeley, wrote that big long op-ed about it, like pointing out that every study done has shown very clearly that these rent controls mean that there's going to be a worse housing crisis. It means that landlords aren't going to bother with residential rentals. They're going to go to business rentals or something else for that property. It's only going to exacerbate the housing crisis. And what I loved about his op-ed, though, is that he pointed out, and that is in all that's preventing all of this, all of the new construction, and his causing the deficit in construction for housing. Point out that's also the stupid zoning laws and the regulatory burdens and the taxation burdens on landlords. So he's like, so you're already stopping them from building new crap, and now you want to put something in place where the people who already own the rentals aren't going to make any money doing it.
Of what they have.
Yeah. So they're just going to get out of the game entirely, and you're going to cause it to get worse. And this is a UC Berkeley economist.
San Francisco has the same problem. They also have rent control, whatnot. And the problem with San Francisco is that it's on the peninsula. It can't expand, right? So the only way to build is build up, right? Build high, tall apartment buildings and skyscrapers, things like that. Mm-hmm. And San Francisco has a big housing problem. It has a whole lot of homeless. And there's a contractor there that owns some property, and he wants to build affordable housing. Like he wants to build a big, huge apartment building, like 40 stories tall or something like that, of nothing but affordable, low income housing. Like that's what he wants to build.
Like efficiency apartments, like studios and small.
And he can't. He can't because of the people that live near the proposed apartment building are complaining that the apartment building would ruin their view of the bay.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. Not in my backyard.
Not in my backyard. Go build it. Go build it on the other side of town.
I'd much rather have the homeless shitting on the sidewalk outside my house than have this big building.
California. Do something, but not in my backyard.
Yep. Homelessness sucks. Have you tried banning straws?
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
George Carlin always proposed. He said that why don't we use the golf courses to build fucking housing units for homeless people?
It was Jeff Cooper that said it. Yeah, Jeff Cooper said a golf course is a terrible waste of a shooting range.
Amen.
Yeah.
I've never played golf in my fucking life, and I have no desire to. Like,
I did once, and it was not enjoyable.
It's just not fun.
Yeah, I mean, you're hitting a ball and chasing it, and it's like, well, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
it is a great way to ruin an otherwise perfectly lovely walk.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right? Fucking Scottish people, man.
It's a great way to waste a Saturday.
My grandpa was a professional golfer, actually. and I still fucking hate it.
Yeah, my grandpa was a really big golfer. One of my cousins golfs professionally, and
my cousin's a professional golfer. Junior professional golfer.
I can't picture. I struggle to picture a more boring fucking way to spend my Saturday than golf.
My last name literally means golf, the game. That's literally what my last name is referring to.
Robin Williams has a really good
That's not Scottish or anything, Andrew. Yeah.
Actually, it's Gaelic-y. So it's like Scottish, Shetland Islands, Britain, Ireland, Northern France, and Germany. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, Robin Williams. If you guys look him up on YouTube, he has a really good skit about golf, and he does the entire thing with a Scottish accent.
Oh yeah, dude. I think I know what you're talking about. He's fucking. He was great, man.
So you could just animate Shrek doing it, and it would work perfectly.
So, this okay.
You know, it's funny that Mike Myers fell off after like the Shrek movies.
Yeah,
like he did that, and they like ruined his career.
Well, he's been getting older too. I mean,
as if the mummy didn't do it.
Well, I was gonna say as if the Love Guru didn't do it, because I'm pretty sure.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Too.
Yeah, that was kind of like
the worst movie ever.
Right.
It's like Deepak Chopra like meets like fucking Austin Powers or some shit.
Yeah.
It's the only way I could describe it.
And a horrifying mental image.
God.
All right. Report pharma executives said he had a, quote, moral requirement to raise drug 400%. Drug price 400%.
I'm going to need more information there. Is he developing life-saving cancer medicines and he was about to go out of business if he didn't make some profit? No? Okay. Well, then he's full of shit.
No,
like, that's
he's
the only
like that Martin
scenario I can
Shkreli
think
guy.
of.
Oh no! This guy actually defends Martin. In the
oh God!
Marty's a good guy, though.
Yeah, Nirmal, Nirmal.
Normal.
Isn't that a
Nirmal.
cat in Garfield?
Yeah, like the
Isn't
cat
that
from
like
Garfield.
the
Like
little gray cat
Nirmal.
that's an asshole, or the
Nirmal.
Garfield hates?
Nirmal Mulye, Mulye. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm just going to call him Nirmal. Founder
What a
and
name. What kind
founder.
of fucking parent does that to their kid?
He's Indian.
Oh,
Yeah.
well.
it's probably near mall or something. But.
Yeah. Well,
We always butcher names on Anarchy among
Near
friends.
mall. Where's your
Yeah.
gas station? Near mall.
well,
Come in, buddy. I'll sell your gas at
yeah.
400% hike up rate.
why do cows have hooves instead of feet? Because they lactose.
Oh.
So
I was
Nirmal.
gonna, I always wanted to start a fucking burger chain in India called Christ Burger.
Oh my god.
Because like cows are sacred there. Yeah.
Sacred cows make the tastiest burgers.
Oh, Jesus.
Start your day the holy way with Christ Burger.
Yes.
Start your day the sacred way.
Awesome.
All right, Nirmal, founder and president of Nostrum Pharmaceuticals, commented in a story Tuesday about the decision to raise the price of an antibiotic mixture called nitroferta blah 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 from about $500 a bottle to more than $2,300. The drug is listed by the WHO, that is the World Health Organization, as an quote essential medicine for lower urinary tract infections. Quote, I think it is a moral requirement to make money when you can, Merle told the Financial Times, to sell a product for the highest price.
Is he Presbyterian? He sounds Presbyterian.
That's normal. That's normal right there. You guys
Normal in a nutshell.
I don't care how brown he is. He sounds Presbyterian.
All right. The Financial Times said Nirmal compared his decision to increase the price to that of an art dealer who sells, quote, a painting for $500 million, and said he was in, quote, this business to make money.
Yeah,
well,
but
I mean,
doesn't
that's
he have
fair.
competition or no?
Well, according to the Financial Times, the executive defended Pharma Bro Martin Shkreli, who was dubbed, quote, the most hated man in America after his company raised the price of aged drugs by 5,000% in 2015, blah, 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 blah. Quote, I agree with Martin that he had to raise prices of a drug he was within his rights because he had to reward his shareholders.
See, well, that's the whole issue is that, like, when you form a corporation, it's like your loyalty is to the shareholders and not the customer.
Yeah, and you know what? If IP infringement wasn't a thing, if they didn't have patents on these drugs, if they didn't have a fucking monopoly on producing them, I wouldn't give a fuck what they were to charge for them. I wouldn't give a fuck.
Well, do we know how long this drug has been around? Probably a while.
I have no idea. It's probably been a while.
So they probably don't actually have a patent on it, I would guess. There probably are generic alternatives out there.
I don't know. This one sounds like something a little bit more modern to me than, because like, I mean, I only had one UTI my whole life, and that was, I think it was fucking decades ago. And it was just like amoxicillin or some shit like that. They weren't giving me this stuff. So this stuff sounds like it might be like a newer, like mixture drug, like a crossover between
like a full spectrum antibiotic or something. I mean, it's
or you
possible.
just like take some cranberry pills and some garlic.
Exactly.
It was first sold in 1953.
1950. Yeah, so there's no way they still have the patent on it. There's tons of generic alternatives out there. This guy's just a douche.
It's gotta be.
The wholesale cost in the developing world is between 10 cents and $9.20 USD for a course treatment.
Holy crap!
Yeah, in the United States, the wholesale cost is about $8 US for this amount as of 2018.
Okay, so what was he charging for it?
Okay,
$500 a bottle.
Shit.
No, he was charging $500 and it went up to $2,300.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want anybody to get that's listening to fucking get this mixed up with anything that even resembles a fucking free market.
No, that's
for a bottle. That's usually, I would think that would be like what, 90 pills, and then, or maybe even 30, the pharmacist.
This is for like a lower tract UTI. So you're looking like maybe 3 weeks. 20 pills?
No, but I
exactly.
mean like by the bottle. Like I think they're
Uh-huh.
talking about what they sell to the pharmacy, and then the pharmacy
Yeah, the pharmacy.
portions it out from there. So
Well,
I think
not
the
only that,
bottle
but-
they're talking about.
Mhm.
But still, that's fucking outrageous. Even
You
if
have
there's
to-
like 4 or 5 like doses, like 4 or 5
Well,
prescriptions in each
Well, you
bottle.
also have
my
to think
thing-
about the fact that, like, you know, if somebody's insurance is paying for it, or say they have like government, like they're covered through Medicaid by the government, they're gonna jack the price because they know that shit's gonna be covered regardless.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
So
they
they're
know
gonna
that
make
they're
as
not
much fucking money
responsible
as they
to
can.
the ultimate consumer.
Exactly.
Well,
Because
yeah,
it's not the consumer that's paying
that's
it.
I brought this up because I really wanted to discuss the reason that pharmaceuticals cost so much is because they have a monopoly.
Market manipulation.
They have an
Exactly.
artificial monopoly.
They do.
Yep.
They
and
do.
even-
There's government barriers to entry for competitors. There's almost no way to start a new pharmaceutical company these days.
There
Well,
is there's literally no way
Yeah.
to financially responsibly start a pharmaceutical industry.
Right.
Well, you got to
Or
think about
company.
you got to
Yeah.
think about this because they lobby the fucking shit out of government, like
Hell
probably
yeah,
just
they
as
do.
much as
Are
like
they
the,
what are they, the
military
second
industrial
highest?
complex.
Oh no,
Yeah.
they're the absolute highest.
Oh, are
I was
they?
gonna say
I
that
thought
they might
Oh,
be
yeah, by
before
leaps
the
and bounds.
military industrial- yeah.
Okay.
And like where
Let's
my
see.
mom lives on the other side of the river from where my mom lives. Actually, no, it's on the same side of the river as where my mom lives, by the naval base in Groton, Connecticut. And all like Merck and Pfizer and all them guys are like down by the fucking right by the Thames River, right there in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like when I go to her house, I drive by all of them, and I'm like, you motherfuckers! Like they have to have their like security clearance and shit to even get in there.
As of
Yeah.
July 24th, the pharmaceutical health product industry has spent $150 million on lobbying.
There you go.
And
not only that,
the next highest industry is insurance at 80 million.
Okay. See, now I
Yeah.
was thinking that insurance was higher for some reason. But,
No.
Okay.
but you also
okay.
have to think about this: that the insurance companies wrote Obamacare, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
To favor themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
And not only that,
Since-
but like you have a revolving door between like the FDA
Uh-huh.
and all these fucking pharmaceutical industries and K Street, like
Yeah,
all these
okay.
lobbying firms.
Since 1998, the pharmaceutical health product industry has spent $3,937,011,122 on lobbying.
Wow,
Jesus.
The next highest
so crazy,
is the
dude.
next highest is the insurance industry with 2.7 billion.
And then
So
people
more than
wonder
$1
how these
billion
fucking
more dollars
politicians-
than the next highest.
3
Yeah.
billion. $3
Yeah.
billion.
One-
That's
one-
like
one-
that's like $100 for every man, woman, and child in the United States.
Yeah,
Yeah,
$3.93 billion dollars. So almost
Yeah.
$4 billion spent on lobbying by the
Yeah.
pharmaceutical industry in 20 years.
Jesus.
And then you got all these people that
Or
like
is it
leave
10?
Congress, so they're still in Congress, and they went
I'm
in there
drunk.
as like, you know, like thousandaires, and they're now fucking millionaires, and like they're able to fucking do insider trading because it's legal for fucking Congress people to do insider trading.
Yeah.
Well, what
if
is it that
anybody
the-
wants to know how, look, Congress people make like $170,000.
Exactly.
174,000. Okay.
If you want to know how they end up after 4 years in Congress or whatever, how they end up millionaires, look to the lobbyists. Look to the fucking pharmaceutical and insurance lobbies.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly how they fucking end
Well,
up.
look at the Obamas. They're worth what, like 90 times or something more that now after the presidency than they were before.
Yeah,
Of course.
Like that's what the hell?
yeah. And even
That's the reality we live in.
The president makes like $350,000 a year. It's not millions.
No,
It's
not
not
at all.
Yeah.
fucking millions. There's no reason somebody should like get out of office 8 years later, a like multi fucking millionaire.
And now, if you're
You
going to talk in
know?
status terms, right? If you're going to talk in status terms about this shit, are you going to allow, you know, people in Congress to be lifers and just be bought out one time or over a lifetime to be fucking loyal to all these people that are fucking, they're subservient to all these corporations and all these fucking like military industrial complex.
They're not there for their constituents. They're there for the lobbyists.
And that was the whole point of like, electing people every 4 years or 6 years or whatever, was because of the fact that they didn't want people to be able to bought out for a lifetime.
Right.
And then be subservient to corporations. And not only that, when they set up the United States, a corporation was only able to operate under a fucking a charter. Right. Mm-hmm. And like, as long as they were loyal to the citizenry and they were providing a service for the citizenry of the United States, and they were able to operate. And then once that charter was over, it could be reviewed if they were continuing service or whatever, or the charter would be eliminated. It wasn't like a lifetime thing.
Right. So there was some power flow the other way too. It wasn't just the power of money from corporations.
Well,
polluting all of DC. DC had some power back.
Corporations only exist. Yeah, corporations only exist because of government.
Yep. Exactly.
That's what I mean. Like that's what
they're a legal entity.
Like that. Yeah. That's like what I always like go back to the whole charter thing, is because like that's a prime example of a government allowing a business to operate under protection of government.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the only thing a corporation is, and people don't understand that like there wouldn't be the government protection of that business and that safety net if fucking government didn't exist.
Right, and I would love to see that. I would love to see a completely free and open market where every business...
A free market would be so beautiful.
It would be. Every business rises or falls based on how intelligently it is run and how good of a service it provides to its customers. And that is the only measure of success.
A truly free market, it would be so mom and pop friendly.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Pop-up shops, mom and pop, small business. McDonald's wouldn't exist. Walmart wouldn't exist. I'm sorry. They might exist, but not to the scale with which they exist now.
And the competition.
And even if they did, like if they became abusive to their their customer base, you could pull out.
There's a competitor willing to treat them better.
Yeah,
there is a competitor willing to treat them better.
Because the customer base is the shareholders, essentially.
Competition breeds a better product at a lower price.
Yeah. Absolutely. Every fucking
time. A better product or service at a lower price.
True. Well,
and if you don't believe that, take a look at the post office.
Yeah,
exactly.
Versus FedEx. Yeah.
That's a Spooner argument right there in a nutshell. He argued against the Postal Service.
He created an alternative to it. He created an alternative to the post office, and the government shut him down.
Yeah, exactly, because they want.
Well, remember a few years ago when Staples wanted to start doing, instead of just doing packages like they do now, Staples wanted to start doing letter sending and like correspondence sending. And instead of actually like trying to compete, postal workers protested outside of various state capitals until the government threatened to introduce new regulation to stop them, to make them give up.
Protectionism. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like crony capitalism, essentially.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It's cronyism.
It's monopolies and cronyism, and it's fucking corporatism, and
all sorts of fun words.
Yeah, fascism, right? Because isn't fascism like when the fucking government's with big business?
It is
the literal definition of fascism.
It's it's amazing. It's a socialism, but it's like national. It's a national socialism, if you will.
I almost feel like somebody's done that before.
Yeah, right.
That sounds oddly familiar.
It's not real national socialism, though.
Germany wasn't real national socialism.
Not at all, dude.
It failed to achieve an ethno state, so it wasn't true national socialism.
Well, I mean, look at Israel. I mean, they're a perfect example of an ethno state. They've achieved it.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, on everybody else's dime.
Like heavily subsidized by U.S. taxpayers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I made that argument the other day on Instagram. I was like, well, let's look at it this way, right?
You're gonna get kicked off of Instagram.
I know. I was like, if a foreign government or country or whatever, because I don't have any issue with the people that live in Israel. All right, let's just
Right.
be straight about that. It's the
Right.
people that run the fucking government and run the system, and the people that actually are above that control Israel, that established Israel,
Right.
which are the Rothschilds,
And to
right?
be clear, I have that problem with every fucking nation on this planet.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
With the
exactly,
people
because
that run
they're
it and
pretty
the
much
people
all
that
run by the
them.
Rothschilds.
Well, except Somalia, because you're an anarchist.
Right.
Well,
So I should
exactly.
move there.
Yep. So
You need to
I
start
said
flying a
that, like,
Somali flag.
if a foreign government infiltrated your government on a federal and state level, infiltrated and like trained your police force to abuse the citizenry,
Yeah.
wage terror attacks on your, not necessarily on your nation, because I mean, I could pretty much prove that Israel had ties to 9/11, but there's
How
things
about
like
the USS Liberty?
exactly. I was just gonna say the USS Liberty and
Yeah, didn't they shoot?
Lavon affair.
Let's say they freaking shot at us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
And
almost
tried to sink.
sunk it. They
tried to
almost sunk it.
Yeah, and it was a surveillance ship. It wasn't even a warship, like, and that got covered up.
And
And
they
then
shot at the Russians when the Russians came to save the sailors.
yeah, exactly. And I'm like, and not only that, but they parasitically suck off the U.S. taxpayer and every other fucking nation that they like blame for
Hugely,
World War
like
II, right?
bigly
And I'm
suck off the U.S.
and I'm like, now would you consider that government? Would you consider that government an ally or an enemy? Like, let's be honest with ourselves here. Because if it
I
was
sure as
Russia,
fuck wouldn't trust it.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. Well, I mean,
I
if it was
don't trust any
Russia or
government.
China,
yeah, I know, but he means status paradigm. If you're a status living,
yeah, and like if it was Russia or China or whoever, Venezuela, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be acceptable whatsoever. People would
I
be
don't
like
even trust
outraged.
China and the control they have over our economy.
But you guys,
owning so much of our debt.
But Russian meddling in the election. Blah,
I was
blah,
just
blah,
gonna
blah,
say,
blah.
look at the way they freaked out about Russia supposedly meddling in our already corrupt and untrustworthy elections.
Yeah. And I kind of want to.
But you got
these
people like pledging
if you
fealty
think
to
that's
AIPAC.
bad, I got some stories for you about the CIA. You want to talk about meddling? Let's talk about.
Yeah. What?
It was like
Syria is just what? I mean,
Central
all
America,
of
South America, like
yeah.
Let's get into
just
this shit. Let's go.
It's like
deep.
assassinations and fucking election riggings
And
well, remember a couple of years ago,
in fucking
dictator
banana
installations.
republics.
How about the fact that the U.S. put Saddam Hussein in power?
Yeah,
well, yeah.
And then
absolutely,
took him
dude.
back
They put the
out
Shah
when
in
it
power
and then went,
fucking
"Oh
Iran.
shit! Well, this didn't go well."
I think
Oops.
Iran was their first overthrow, because in what was it, 1953 they overthrew Mossadegh and put the Shah in power.
Yep. And then the
And that was,
Ayatollah
like,
took
their
over from
first,
him.
yeah, exactly. After the Iranian Revolution in '79, yeah.
I wouldn't call it the first though. I mean, the U.S. was fucking
Well, no,
balls
absolutely.
deep
I mean,
in the Paris Accords and
what's his
shit
name?
like that, and
Yeah, well,
and
Smedley Butler
redrawing
even
maps
said
of
that.
Europe and
Yeah, I mean, Smedley Butler said that he was an operative or a mercenary for corporations, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they've been doing stuff. I forget. Man, there was a book out a few years ago. I can't remember who wrote it, but there was a book out a few years ago that was by this guy who was part of a group where their entire mission in Central America was to destabilize governments.
Confessions of an Economic
Hitman.
Yeah.
I have a
Smedley Butler, wasn't it?
No, I have a
PDF
for that one.
That's
what the fuck is the guy's name?
No,
he was
Dan,
a CIA
you just
operative.
said Smedley Butler. That's why that name was in my head.
Yeah, I forget the guy's name, but yeah, he talked about that, and like we've talked about on previous episodes, where there's 3 steps where they'll try and persuade a dictator or whatever that's already in power to allow them to install corporate entities in their country and like military bases or ports.
John Perkins, Confessions of
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
I have a link to a free PDF of that one if you guys.
Yeah. So if that doesn't work with the persuasion first stage, then they go to the CIA jackals, which will go and assassinate them or blow up their plane or whatever the fuck they got to do to take the guy out. And if that doesn't work, then they send in the military.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By hook or by crook. by hook or by crook. They're
Well,
doing
and
it.
don't forget the CIA also helped set up Pablo Escobar as one of the most powerful men in
dude, they run the
South
black
America.
Yeah, and then they're running
They run the black
cocaine into the
market.
U.S.
Yeah.
over
Like,
the fucking Mexican border.
every illegal black market thing that you can fucking do or
The
get,
CIA has
they
its
have their
fucking
hands.
fingers in it up to
Yeah.
the knuckle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because that's like the most profitable shit, like human fucking organs, like trafficking
Yeah.
humans, trafficking
Sex
drugs,
trafficking.
fucking, like everything.
Not only that, but I mean, if we tie it back into the corporatism and the protectionism of the marriage between the state and the corporations, Lockheed Martin, and all these other defense
Oh
contractors.
Jesus.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They put hands in people's pockets and put reach for put money in people's wallets, and
I could whistle you tunes about defense contractors.
it doesn't take much to start a little Middle Eastern skirmish and then have
Yes.
the U.S. government step in, and then here's and then the government buys $200 billion worth of bombs.
Right.
That actually just reminded me. There's a documentary on Netflix right now. It's about a guy whose dad, it turns out, was assassinated by the CIA back in like 55, I want to say.
No shit.
He was literally thrown out a window of a hotel in New York.
Wow.
To
make it look like a suicide.
Well,
the
way he describes it is what they told him was that there's been an accident and your father either jumped or fell out this window.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's literally what they told him and his mom was your father either jumped or fell.
And they're like, if you don't accept this, we'll kill you too.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing is, like, you watch the documentary, and of course, ultimately the guy's body winds up getting exhumed in like 2007, I think, and a really popular cold case forensics guy looked at the body and figured out that there was a depressed fracture on his forehead that couldn't have happened from him going through the glass. That he showed no cuts from going through the glass, even though the window was broken.
So they pretty much killed him and then threw him through the window?
Yep, they knocked him out. But here's where it gets crazy, is that the CIA assassination manual that got leaked from the 1950s specifically says the best way to assassinate someone is to hit them in the head and toss them from a building at least 9 stories tall onto a hard surface.
Yep.
So it's exactly what it was.
The impact will destroy any evidence of blunt force trauma.
Exactly, but he actually had been part of MK Ultra, which is where it gets even crazier, and it gets crazier still because this guy actually worked on biological weapons for the CIA, and it sounds like there was evidence he was going to go public because he was pretty sure that the North Koreans were right, and we were using biological weapons in Korea. And where it gets crazier, the whole reason I thought about it is, the 2 guys who most likely ordered his assassination, one of their names was Rumsfeld.
Surprise, surprise.
Donald fucking Rumsfeld.
Yep.
Back when he was first starting his career.
No shit.
Sounds a lot like Gary Webb when he committed suicide by shooting himself in the back of the head.
Yeah. But you think about it, and so like Donald Rumsfeld got his start doing that crap.
He cut his eye teeth on it.
Yeah, and so
they all cut their fucking eye teeth on murder and corruption and fucking using people.
That's the way that they prove that they can be trusted in the system.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing. That's the glue that holds this fucking corrupt system together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once people realize that, it's like they're and you can pull out and like fucking opt out and say this is not what I want.
And what drives me crazy is people saying shit like we just need to get the right people in office.
No.
The right people will never be in office.
Yep. Well, and I just remembered the other guy who was part of that team. It was Rumsfeld and Cheney.
Oh, Jesus.
Perfect.
Rumsfeld and Cheney, and they assassinated him. They most likely spearheaded the use of biological weapons in North Korea during the Korean War. And so they start all this out, and then lo and behold, once they get into major power under Bush, now all of a sudden, we're going to have to go into Iraq because weapons of mass destruction.
Well, that was all planned
Well,
out.
that
I mean,
was-
if you look at the PNAC document, the Project for a New American Century document, what was it called? Rebuilding America's Defenses.
Hey,
And
we're almost at 11 o'clock, by the way, guys.
Rumsfeld, Cheney, Wolfowitz, all those guys that were on the Bush administration were on this think tank. It was a neoconservative think tank, Zionists, of course, and they, said that there was no way that, I mean, it would take a gradual process of the United States, homogenizing the world under U.S. imperialism, essentially.
Yeah.
And they said the only thing that would really speed that process up is a catalyzing event like Pearl Harbor. And they wrote
because
that
they
in, I
need
think,
fear.
2000. Yeah.
They need
Yep.
a huge
Yeah.
tide of public fear to push things forward quickly,
Oh,
to make big
So they
steps.
already had,
like
already had
9/11?
everything. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They already have
Exactly,
everything
not like
planned.
9/11.
And that's exactly what they said on 9/11. They're like, oh, this is our new Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Like exactly what they said in the document.
Operation Northwoods.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So, all right, let's jump onto this last article because we're like at it. We're at time already, but I just want to get this last article because it is that infuriating. You guys remember the story we covered before about the police chief in Florida that was arrested for sending people to prison that had actually not committed any crimes, so that he could say he had 100% conviction rate, solved crime rate. Okay. Florida police chief or former police chief in Florida pleads guilty to framing men in racially tinged cases. Okay, now remember, 5 years ago, remember that number 5. 5 years ago, Biscayne Park police chief, I'm not trying to pronounce his good name, bragged to the town's leaders that his department's exceptional 100% clearance rate on burglaries in the tree-lined suburb north of Miami. On Friday, however, he admitted his own criminal behavior was behind the boost to the village commission. He acknowledged at his plea hearing in Miami federal court that he directed 3 of his police officers to pin a series of unsolved home and vehicle break-ins on 3 innocent men to perfect the force's property crimes record.
That's just, okay, for starters, that's retarded. Anytime you see 100% success rate on anything, there's bullshit involved.
Yeah.
There's fucking bullshit involved. And anybody with half a brain should know that.
He pleaded guilty to a conspiracy charge of depriving the 3 suspects of their civil rights because he and the officers framed them. Although race was not a factor in the federal case against the former police chief, the 3 wrongly arrested men are black. His conspiracy conviction carries up to 10 years in prison, though the ex-chief is expected to get far less time.
Because he's one of them.
2 other rights violations carrying up to 1 year each will be dismissed. Hold on. Just let's see. Blah 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 blah. Let's see. Sentencing is November 27th before the U.S. District Judge K. Michael Moore. He faces between 2 and 2.5 years in prison under the federal sentencing guidelines. The U.S. Attorney's Office agreed to recommend 2 years under the plea agreement. He arrested these people 5 years ago. They have been in prison. They have been in prison for 5 years.
That's fucking insane.
5 years of their lives gone.
He is going to be sentenced to 2.
If they have kids, they've missed 5 years of their kids' lives.
He is going to be sentenced to 2, and he will probably get credit for time served. Get some.
If he serves
blah 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 blah.
If he serves 8 months, I'll be shocked.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because he's one of them.
So crazy, dude.
Because he's one of them.
And he'll probably wind up getting a job with another police force.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you know what's funny? It kind of like ties into the whole Broward County fucking bullshit where they were like, not reporting crimes because they wanted to receive federal aid. So it's like there's an incentive to do this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing there where there's an incentive to do shit like fucking civil asset forfeiture. You know, it's like
it's
incentivized policing.
And he took
but statists say without government, warlords will take over.
Yeah.
What do you fucking call
all three ex cops cooperated with the FBI and federal prosecutors in hope of reducing the prison sentences, putting pressure on him to cut his own deal rather than face a jury trial.
No, he should spend a day in prison for every day each of those guys spent in prison. That's 15 fucking years. He should have to stay in prison at least as long as those guys did cumulatively.
Yeah, but he had a costume. So
and a shiny metal pin.
Yep.
Well, and I think any recompense that they get should be taken out of the sale of all of his belongings. He should come out of jail, out of prison in 15 years
with fucking
and
nothing.
have absolutely nothing.
And let's the federal prosecutors making a plea deal or agreeing to a plea deal on this is absolutely fucking insulting.
It is, because they only agree to plea deals. They're supposed to only agree to plea deals when they don't have the evidence to get a full conviction. This asshole fucking confessed. And the three officers that he ordered to do this, the three officers, all cooperated with the feds. So he was sunk. He was absolutely fucking sunk, and he agreed to the plea deal rather than go to a jury trial. But the fact that they offered a plea deal that's insulting to the regular fucking peasants who don't get that special consideration.
Yep. They had the opportunity to send a very, very strong message to the rest of law enforcement.
Yeah, and they chose instead to send a very strong message to the rest of the United States of America. You assholes don't matter. You're not in our club. Get fucked.
Yep. And instead, this guy will, sentenced to between 2 and 2.5 years. The feds are recommending 2. He'll a year, maybe.
It's such bullshit, dude.
A year in a Club Med. That's what it'll be a Club Med prison.
Yep, he'll be in minimum security. He'll probably have he'll have nice meals, tons of rec time.
Administrative segregation. He'll be protected from the general population. He'll be in there with other cops.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Vigilante justice is the only way to achieve true justice.
It is, because they're a violent gang. And I saw a meme the other day. The only difference between the mafia and the government is that the mafia doesn't get to force you to attend indoctrination centers for 15 years of your life to make you believe that they're wonderful and they're there for your protection.
Yep.
No.
That's the only difference between the mafia and the government.
The mafia wish they did that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and the mafia turns a profit.
Right.
Yeah, exactly right. They don't run a deficit.
And they're accountable to each other.
Yeah.
No, they do have a code
they really
of
are.
Yeah.
They do have a code of ethics.
Yep.
I mean, John Gotti almost got himself assassinated in exchange for assassinating that boss that he took out, without sanction.
Yep.
That's how it works, man.
All right. So, all right, one more quick thing. I have to ask this question. The presidential emergency broadcast message thingies that's happening next week. Does anybody else hope that Trump gets drunk and just goes on a fucking national-wide text
Oh, that'd be hilarious. I don't think the man's ever drunk a drop of alcohol in his life.
Yeah, he hasn't. His what was it? His brother, I think, or his dad. Somebody was like a raging alcoholic, and it destroyed his life. And he vowed never to touch a drop of alcohol. That's why there's that big thing that was an actual. I still can't believe it was an actual headline that CNN ran with. That was Trump asks for can of Coke. Because at a state dinner he asked for a can of Diet Coke because everybody else was drinking alcohol and he doesn't drink ever. He asked for a can of Diet Coke, and it was 2 days of coverage on it. Discussion panels.
You remember all the
I hope he gets stoned.
Diet Coke is terrible for you.
You remember all the outrage over him having a taco salad?
Aspartame is fucking poison.
Yeah, it is, dude.
So yeah, Dan, it says FEMA and the FCC are conducting a nationwide test of both the emergency alert system and the wireless emergency alerts on September 20th, starting at 2:18 Eastern or 2:18 p.m. Eastern. If you're included in this test, your device will receive a tone and a presidential alert warning that makes clear this is just a dry run.
Huh.
Jeez.
That'd be hilarious. He's just like, you people are so stupid. I can't even believe you're so dumb. It's just like his tie's all undone and he's disheveled and he's just kicking things over.
God.
That'd be fucking ridiculous. You'd only need like 2 shots of tequila and he'd be fucking toast.
Yeah, it's just
Well,
like,
yeah,
I just-
'cause he'd be a
I wanna-
lightweight if he's a teetotaler.
I want to see
right.
I want to see the Twitter apology if he actually sends out like a nationwide dick pic. If any person's body part is ever going to get memed, literally till the end of time,
Yeah.
it would come with the caption, "Whose hands are tiny now?"
Yeah. Dude, the
That would-
guy's a
that
fucking
would-
walking meme. Oh,
that would
no,
be that would be
exactly.
more fantastic. That would be more fantastic than the photo that was put out of Obama with the shotgun.
oh.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Or
dude.
Obama riding the bicycle.
Oh, that was
Shit
fucking great.
fucking great.
Yeah.
Oh, either
Those
one.
are funny times though. But I mean,
Dude.
like, I don't know. Trump gives me so much fucking comedic material to run with. It's just like, I don't know. It's fucking hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, as an American citizen, like I wept
It's my duty
when I
to
found out that
meme
he
the
won.
president.
Oh, you know what? Yeah.
But as a comedian, I was just like, yes, thank you, Jesus.
The memes, oh
The,
god, the memes.
the Mike Pence Johnny Quest meme series.
Yes.
Oh my god. dude.
Mike Pence,
Absolutely.
Mike Pence, and
Oh, that was
Baron
so
Trump
good.
bravely defending the Dakota Access Pipeline is
Oh,
one of
that
my
shit was
favorite
so
memes.
good, you guys. Oh my god.
Yep.
It
So
almost
ridiculous.
made up. It almost made up for Biden memes.
For the
not
loss of
being
the
a thing
Biden
anymore.
memes, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Until you find out Biden's a fucking skeevy pedophile.
Well, I mean, anybody with 2 eyes in their head could have seen that already.
Exactly. Oh my god, dude.
No.
Yeah, if nobody's ever seen that that's watching, fucking go to YouTube and watch that. Fucking, it's fucking creepy.
In a minute.
I saw the one
Ugh.
video, fucking like I think it was Jeff Sessions or somebody fucking slapped his hand away because he was like reaching for a young girl and he was like, dude, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta get going, guys. I gotta go.
Yeah.
It needs to go.
All right, y'all.
So.
All right, you guys. So I'll just end the broadcast then. So
All right.
Well,
thank you guys. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right,
Peace.
peace out,
Peace.
everybody.